So if you've been watching my channel or maybe following me over on Twitter or Twitch, you would probably know that I'm a pretty big fan of what they have done with the Black Ops 6 beta. I've been really enjoying it, and it's been kind of refreshing, especially compared to Modern Warfare 3. But the game still has some problems, and in this video I wanted to go from the positive side of things to the negative side of things and discuss the biggest problems that are currently in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and discuss how they could be changed, how they can be fixed, and I think almost all of these either are already being looked at, have already been fixed, or I'm guessing will be fixed going into weekend 2 of the beta. But if I miss anything in this video, I want you guys to let me know what you think are the biggest problems with the Black Ops 6 beta down in the comments. And I've been playing pretty much all week, starting out the beginning of the week back at Call of Duty Next. And speaking of Call of Duty Next, back when I was back there, I actually recorded this for today's video sponsor.
So I'm here at Call of Duty Next, and when I travel, a bunch of things change, my background and everything, but one thing that doesn't change is the browser that I use, and that just so happens to be today's video sponsor, Opera GX. They're the browser that I've used for a long time and for many reasons, and on top of that, they have some new features as well. One of which is called GX mods, which are essentially unique skins that you can put on your browser. If you're bored of looking at your plain old browser, there are many things that this can do. First of all, one of the things that I love about Opera GX is the sound effects that it uses. When you open a new tab, close a tab, or even when you're typing, when I'm streaming, people generally love those noises. But when you implement a mod, it'll change the color scheme of your browser, it'll change your background, it'll even change your keyboard sounds and what opening a new tab sounds like. And to make it even easier, they are super simple to install. You literally just click a button and they are installed, and you can even change individual sounds that they make when you're using the browser. And just by going to the GX store, there are a ton of different mods that you can access, and a bunch of them are even video game related, so you can have your browser look like your favorite video game. On top of this, Opera GX has integrated ChatGPT and ChatSonic, which is native integration of generative AI. So whether you need to summarize an entire article, or find related content, or just flat out have your homework done for you, Opera GX has got you. And the one thing that I can tell you is Opera GX is the best web browser for gamers, whether you just want to watch a video on top of the game that you're playing, or you're simply searching up ways to beat your favorite games. Opera GX is the best, and the easiest way to get it is simply click the link down in the description. It is super easy to download, and like I said, I've been using it for years and I will never look back. So thank you Opera GX for sponsoring the video, and check that link out down below.
So, as far as negative stuff with Black Ops 6, I would say the biggest problem that people are having right now with the game, the thing that I see more than anything else, is the spawns. And don't get me wrong, the spawns are really bad. There's a big problem with them. People will spawn in front of you all the time. Sometimes they're too sticky. Sometimes they're not sticky. They're just not right. And I would love for the exclusive Ace to go in and break them down, because he does a really good job of analyzing these spawns and that kind of thing. But let me tell you this. When I was at Call of Duty Next, I played a bunch of maps that you guys have yet to play. They may be coming later tonight or tomorrow or even next weekend, but they are the strike maps. And one of them actually isn't a strike map. It's Babylon. It's a 6v6 map. But there's also Gala, there's also Pits, and there's also another one called Safe House that we have yet to play. Or it might be called Stakeout. I think it's called Stakeout. Anyway, these are tiny maps. The spawns on those are 100 times worse than the spawns that you have played on the current 6v6 maps. And don't get me wrong, the spawns are already bad, but they're going to get a lot worse, and you are going to see that. And this is one of the things that is yet to be addressed by Activision, by Treyarch whatsoever. No one has said anything about the spawns, and no one knows if they are going to be fixed or if they are going to be addressed. Now, my guess is as per usual, most betas have really bad spawns, and most of the time by the time game is fully launched, it does get better. But that has not been addressed yet. Now, there is one other thing that I think a lot of people have been complaining about, and that is the speed in which you level up weapons. So as far as that goes, basically, it appears as though most weapons have between like 40 and 50 max levels, which is actually pretty high, especially given the fact that most of the attachments on weapons are just for a given weapon. Yes, the optics carry over through the various weapons in a class, but this one has been addressed. By the way, I'm at home now, and as you can see, I even use Opera GX at home, so you should check them out, link down below. But as far as this goes, Treyarch says that they are increasing weapon XP rates in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 for weekend 2 of the beta. The exact quote on it is, "We'll be buffing weapon XP for weekend 2. The current weapon leveling speeds are slower than intended." Now, I want to be really clear about something. This doesn't mean that the weapon leveling speeds are going to be faster for the launch of the game. It only means that it's going to be that way for weekend 2. And even with that, it could still be too slow. So we'll have to wait and see what those speeds actually are. But I was guessing that they are too slow. Speaking of which, another thing that I find too slow and doesn't work properly is score streaks. Now, I might be alone in this one, but from what I have seen from Call of Duty Black Ops 6, is it takes a long time to get scores. For example, a UAV costs 675 score. If you're playing Team Deathmatch, that is nearly 7 kills. And yes, assists do count as kills, so you get them a little bit faster, but that is still a lot. And on top of that, like a Hellstorm missile is 1200. And yes, we've seen Trinity rockets in previous games, which essentially operate the same way as the Hellstorm missile for much less score than this. And I don't know why that was intended, why there is so much score. Maybe it's a little bit of carryover from Cold War when your kill streaks persisted even after death. But to me, it just seems like the score on score streaks is much, much too high than it should be. But again, maybe I'm wrong about this one. This is just a personal opinion, and you can let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, one thing that I wasn't sure about is footstep noises. I streamed a lot over the past weekend, and I'm right around, I think, 15 hours of streamed Black Ops 6, which is a lot. And a lot of people, maybe once an hour, 1 or 2 people would come in and say, I can't hear footsteps. I've tried all of the audio settings and I just can't hear footsteps. And when I thought about it and why I listened to the game, for the most part, they were right. I couldn't really hear footsteps. Every once in a while, if someone was like right above me in a building or jumping down from a higher level right in front of me, I could hear the footsteps. But as a whole, they were right. I couldn't really hear the footsteps, and people weren't using footstep silencing anything whatsoever. So I was surprised today that on Twitter, I saw this from Call of Duty updates. It says, we are investigating isolated issues impacting audio prioritization that could result in lower or missing volume for some audio cues, such as footsteps, explosions, sliding, and more. In other words, the audio is not working correctly, which means that these people who were coming into my stream were 100% correct. And before I could even go out there and say that this is indeed an issue and needs to be fixed, people are already coming in, or specifically Treyarch is already coming in and saying, yeah, the audio is an issue. We're working on fixing it. So that's really good to see. Now, another thing that some of you may or may not have seen is the bans. So people are quite literally getting banned, especially pro players or people who maybe have got recognized from their streams or things along those lines. Essentially, if you got reported too many times, you are just simply banned or shadow banned, and you cannot play Black Ops 6 or Call of Duty whatsoever. And no one really knew why this was happening. They all kind of had an idea that it had something to do with the shadow ban system and what was going on there. Well, we got a little bit more information about this one. So this is from Call of Duty updates. Specifically, the tweet you're looking at here is from Charlie Intel. And it says this: Call of Duty updates. During the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta, we are testing features and monitoring telemetry. Ricochet is being proactive with detections during the beta to stamp out illicit and compromised accounts across all platforms. That is good because there has already been hackers seen within Black Ops 6. The tuning for these detections are also in test during the beta. The team will continue to make adjustments to reduce issues players have been experiencing while maintaining our commitment to remove cheaters. Then there's some resources on how you can deal with it if your account has been compromised, blah, blah, blah. There are 2 issues that I've seen with this. Issue number 1 is people are already hacking within Black Ops 6. Personally, I haven't run into it, but I've seen videos of it. So that's one problem. And problem number 2, people who are not hacking are getting banned because of people simply reporting them and them being banned because of it. So obviously, that is a problem with Ricochet. It is a problem with the way that the ban system currently works, and the shadow ban system currently works within Ricochet and within Call of Duty. Obviously, this needs to be addressed, and obviously, they are trying something new with the Black Ops 6 beta if these pro players are just now getting banned. And yes, with the new movement system, the pros and players who are getting recognized and banned might actually appear like they're hacking because they're doing so well at the game, because the various different skill gaps within the game are much more prevalent and easy to see. So yes, this is an issue. It is already being fixed. One other thing is weapon balance. And I'm going to say this, I think for the most part, weapon balance is pretty decent so far. However, there is one weapon that is hands and feet above the other weapons, and that is the Jackal. Now, this is the SMG, the kind of middle SMG. I kind of compared it to the AK-74U. It is really, really good. It's good at range. It's good at short range. It has low recoil. It's easy to use. It's really good, and I'm assuming that it'll get nerfed going into weekend 2, but unlike other things that we've talked about, it hasn't been addressed yet. So that is one of the next things that I would like to see addressed, and I want to see that moving into weekend 2 to help with the weapon balancing going into the final launch of the game. And generally speaking, there is like a weapon balancing overhaul before the final launch, but this is one that I would like to see moving forward, just to see, once this is nerfed, how the other kind of weapons fall into place. But the other weapon-wise, I think most of them are pretty balanced. But if there's another one that I'm missing, feel free to let me know down in the comments. And then, finally, I'm going to sip the tea for this one because I don't agree with this one. The movement. Now, I didn't want to put this in the video, but I feel like I have to. I have seen a ton of comments, a ton of people saying that the movement is bad in Black Ops 6. That Black Ops 6 is just Black Ops Cold War with new movement. And I disagree with that. In fact, I was streaming today, and someone said something that I actually agreed with. Black Ops Cold War felt like a Call of Duty game, whereas Call of Duty Black Ops 6 feels like a Black Ops game. And for the most part, I agree with it. I think Call of Duty World at War and Black Ops 1 are this kind of subset of Call of Duty game that are a more realistic Black Ops game. And I think Black Ops Cold War kind of falls close to that one. Whereas Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 4 are kind of this more arcadey version of a Black Ops game that were really successful, and I think a lot of people really loved. Black Ops 6 feels closer to those arcadey versions of games than I have seen since Black Ops 4. This game feels way closer to Black Ops 4 to me than Black Ops Cold War. And yes, it looks like Black Ops Cold War, but feeling-wise, arcadey-wise, the way that it plays, the movement, feels like Black Ops 4 to me. And maybe that's because stims are so good in this and stims were crazy in Black Ops 4. That's another possibility, but that is the way that I am feeling about Black Ops 6. And I kind of missed the feeling of a Call of Duty game like that. So I think there's a big skill gap with the movement that people are going to have to learn. By the way, if you haven't seen my settings video, my settings that I use in game really help out with that skill gap quite greatly. So be sure to check that out. I'll link it down in the description as well. But this skill gap is, I think, a good thing for the game, and it's going to become more and more prevalent as people get better and better at the game. And I'm curious how it turns out throughout the year, and I can only see the movement getting better throughout the year as it gets more finely tuned, but as a whole, I really enjoy it. And just because I do doesn't mean it's good for the game. That just means I enjoy it. So at this point, I have one more question for you guys. For you who have played the beta, what have you felt SBMM wise? I didn't want to make this video all about that, and I didn't want to give my opinion yet, but I want to hear what you guys are thinking down in the comments. Is SBMM overwhelming? Is it crazy? Do you feel like it's less in this game? Let me know what you are thinking. But as far as what we have seen so far, I will say that these problems that we are having, the biggest problems, do not seem so big when you look at other Call of Duty betas, and certain maps couldn't even run. People were under the maps. Things were completely broken. You couldn't even get into a match. You couldn't play with your friends. It would crash every 5 seconds. My game has crashed twice. In 15 hours, my game has crashed twice. And for a beta, that blows my mind. Keep in mind, Modern Warfare 3 to this day crashes more than that for me. So I'm just saying, I'm pretty impressed on that front. There are definitely problems that need to be fixed. These are the biggest ones that I've found. I want to hear what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like, subscribe, notifications, all of that kind of jazz. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time.
We are